Millions of people's lives were immediately changed. They were going about their day, and in an instant, their lives were never going to be the same. I'm talking about the earthquakes that happened in Turkey and Syria, and it's absolutely heartbreaking. Just seeing all of the damage that was done there, and our hearts really go out to all of the people having to deal with that. And the world got it together immediately to the best of our ability, and there was so many people that were donating funds to these reputable charities, and they were getting boots on the ground right away to try and help in any way that they could to perhaps save lives. There's also an issue with it being really, really cold temperatures there, but the world all responded in unison and said, hey, we need to get help to these people. But I'm here to talk about a billion-dollar real estate company that operates worldwide completely tax-free under the guise of a religion. And they made a statement about these awful, awful disasters that happened, and it's terrible. So what did this international real estate company have to say? Well, here you go. Keep on the watch. Devastating earthquakes strike Turkey and Syria. What does the Bible say? They give a news report from Reuters. Our hearts ache when we read such tragedies. At times like this, we can look to Jehovah, who is the God of all comfort. He provides comfort from the scriptures that we might have hope. In the Bible, we learn what was foretold about earthquakes, where we can find comfort and hope, how God will eliminate all suffering. And then they point to some other articles that they have put out there. Now, I just want to show why some of these articles do absolutely nothing to actually comfort people. So in our minds, we're going to need to do a little thought experiment here, and just imagine that we have a situation where someone went through a life-altering tragedy, and they are being offered comfort from a respected, someone that they look up to, a good friend, whatever it might be, a position that someone, they hold this person dear in some way, shape, or form. And because that is the relationship that Jehovah's Witnesses have with Watchtower. So when they look to Watchtower for comfort, boom, that's how they get it. So let's just imagine this was in any other circumstance and break it down in real world terms and see what it actually sounds like. So step one of this comfort, in this fictitious scenario, let's just imagine that someone has lost their child. And me as the comforter comes through and says, I just wanted to let you know that there was someone that knew exactly how, when, and where your child was going to die. They had the ability to stop it and prevent it, but they chose to do nothing. Just wanted to let you know that in order to offer you some comfort. Well, what am I talking about? Well, the first thing that they point to is, earthquakes were prophesied in the Bible. Oh, wow. Yep, a book said thousands of years ago that there would be earthquakes in the time of the end. But doesn't this just make it more frustrating for people that have experienced this loss? Knowing that there was an entity out there, and fully believing that there was an entity out there that just let something happen, and just he could have stopped it. Option A is, boys have been boys, what are you going to do about it? And option B was stopping a disaster. And they chose, what are you going to do about it? I don't know how much comfort that really is going to offer somebody. And this coming from an organization that's been critical of other churches for decades about how they provide false comfort to people. The Watchtower for years has been saying that, it's disgusting what Christendom, those false Christians, what they tell their people that, well, that's all part of God's plan. And then they turn around and say, well, this is all part of God's plan, just in a slightly different way. They're just getting funny with language, but they're saying the exact same thing. So by all accounts, this is just completely messed up. Now, step 2 of me being this all-wise comforter, I am going to tell you to read a book. Now, this is a book that you read every single year for your entire life, and you plan on continuing to read this book every single year for your entire life. And in my infinite wisdom, in order to comfort you, I say, hey, you should check that book out that you've read a bunch and that you are planning on reading anyway. Because it's real cool and you'll feel better. That's exactly what Watchtower does with this next point. Where can we find hope? Well, you got to look to these passages in the Bible. That's exactly where these people would have gone anyway. The Watchtower in this instance isn't doing anything. Nothing at all. So far we have a reminder that there was an entity out there that could have stopped it, but decided a little bit too busy today, don't really feel like it. Then the next one is read a book. I wonder what number 3 could possibly be. Well, you probably already know. Hope is just around the corner. What do they say? God will soon end all suffering. Which, to every single person that's ever said that, in the entirety of the human experience, anyone that said, well, God is going to, very, very soon, God is going to end all suffering. All of them have died with a 100% success ratio. So what you're saying is, you'll get comfort when you're dead. Yes, me, the all-wise comforter, wants to remind you that someone could have done something, but they didn't, told you to read a book, and says, hey, it's fine because you'll get relief when you die. Because by all accounts, everyone that's ever claimed that, oh, well, this end is right around the corner. This is the generation, all throughout history, they've all just died. So they're not offering any comfort whatsoever. So then you might be wondering, okay, well, why are they even saying this? Like, what's the point of them even making a statement about it? Well, it's because Watchtower has no sort of moral boundary. They will use anything and everything to further their agenda. And all of this is just a disgusting, pathetic attempt to do exactly that. And try and tell people that this is a sign that the end is right around the corner. And don't you want to inherit everlasting life? And the only way to inherit everlasting life is by being a Jehovah's Witness. It is all designed to manipulate people and to indoctrinate them with this concept of the paradise and say, just hold on a little bit longer. The paradise is right around the corner, and here's another example of why it's so close. If you're watching this video and you are a Jehovah's Witness, just ask yourself, is it possible that I could be wrong? And then take into consideration that every single person that claimed that it was going to happen in their lifetime for the last 2,000 years has also been wrong. Is it at least possible that this is all just some scam for a real estate company? Now, one of the things I am thinking about is, what is Watchtower going to do in order to actually help people? As we can clearly see, this article is not designed to help people. It's designed to indoctrinate people. So what is Watchtower going to do in response to this? Well, I made a video in case anyone missed that. But it basically broke down how Watchtower only spent $12 million. They claim they spent $12 million in 2022 in providing humanitarian aid, which was laughable. It is an incredibly low amount of money when other organizations of a similar size were spending hundreds of millions of dollars in humanitarian aid. Watchtower spent 12. Now, I'm just was thinking, okay, well, what are they possibly going to do? Well, one of the big issues is I don't know if there's any Jehovah's Witnesses in Syria at all. So in their listings that they do every single year, it's never in there. It's never listed as a country that there are Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, there are like 33 countries that they say other lands that maybe they're under ban or something. So maybe that's what's happening there. I don't know for sure. But as far as I can tell, there might not be any Jehovah's Witnesses at all in Syria. And what happens when Jehovah's Witnesses do humanitarian aid? They only help Jehovah's Witnesses. And sometimes they don't even do that. They mainly only try and rebuild their kingdom halls. Now, sometimes you'll hear them make claims, and if they do have a PR piece that they want to release on how they opened up the kingdom halls as shelters for people, I just want you to think about it this way. The people in those communities were the ones that paid for and built that kingdom hall. So what Watchtower is doing by opening its doors and letting people stay is giving them back the keys to their own freaking house. They stole the keys from them. So what happens is a community of people will get together, they will purchase land, they will buy a kingdom hall, they will pay for it all, they'll pay off a loan over 30 years, and then that is their kingdom hall. Watchtower came and took the rights to anyone owning their own kingdom hall and said, no, that's going to be owned by Watchtower now, but thank you for building and paying for it. They took the keys to their house. So if they want to come through and claim, oh my goodness, look how great, what a great thing we did, Jehovah's blessing, we used kingdom halls as disaster relief shelters. No, you didn't. You just gave people the keys to their own house. You did nothing in this particular instance. So if that's something that they claim, everyone should laugh at them and denounce them really for their disgusting practices. It's mind-blowing. Now, one thing that I did want to look up is just how many Jehovah's Witnesses live in Turkey, because that is an area where they do claim there are Jehovah's Witnesses. And my sort of working theory here is that they're not going to have a very big response. They were never going to have a big response anyway. As I said, they only spent $12 million in all of 2022, which is nothing. Nothing when we're talking about millions of people that need humanitarian aid. So it's not a lot. But one of the things I think is why they're not going to do a whole lot about this situation is I looked through their data that they release, and Turkey would rank number 9 on the highest population to Jehovah's Witnesses in the entire world. So for every one Jehovah's Witness, there are 16,132 non-Jehovah's Witnesses. And that ranks, I'll just put it on screen here now so you can see, but it's only behind like Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sudan, India. So it's number 9. So there's not that many Jehovah's Witnesses that live there. I think there's about 5,070 congregations, if my memory serves me correctly. So 5,000 witnesses, 70 congregations. Are they really going to have a good response here? Are they going to swoop in and start helping the community? We've seen it time and time again. Unless it benefits Watchtower in some way, they just don't care. And that is why it blows my brain that this international real estate religion, I guess we can call it that, gets away with not helping people and never pays taxes. And their whole shtick is, well, we provide spiritual comfort and we provide, moral stability or whatever in the community. What did that article do? It absolutely makes it worse for people. It's not comforting. It just isn't. There's not any sort of mental manipulation that you can go through where you can read that article and come away and say to yourself, well, boy, howdy, I sure feel so much better now that I read that ridiculous article. It's insane. So I say shame on you, Watchtower. Please show us that you're doing something. Please demonstrate to us, give us the receipts, and show us that you're doing something to help the people in Syria and Turkey out. And if you're not, then I ask the governments, why are we letting them do this? Why are we letting them accumulate billions of dollars of assets and just turning a blind eye because they say, well, we're helping people spiritually? It's absolutely mind-blowing. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me for this episode, and I will see you next time.